Kelly. Well, on Masters of Spin this morning, putting politicians on the spot. Is it fair game during an election campaign? Labor leader Anthony Albanese was targeted again this week when he started fumbling through the ALP's reforms to the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Reporters were, of course, perhaps not surprisingly, very quick to zero in on it.
What are the 6 points?
The 6 points are what we will do in terms of was outlined by Bill Shorten.
What are the other 5 points, Mr Albanese?
Mr Albanese was then handed notes by one of his minders and read the 6 points from those notes. To discuss, let's bring in our Masters of Spin, advertising and marketing experts, Matthew Bywater and Adam Ferrier. Matty, morning to you. What's your view? Is this a fair gotcha moment, if you want to call it that, or should political leaders know this level of detail about their new policy?
Yeah, they should know the detail about their policy, and I don't like the gotcha moments when they're trying to ask the price of a litre of milk or something like that. We should expect our politicians at a very high level to know the minute details of everyday life. I hope there's other people that can do that for them. But I mean, this is like a kindergarten kid knowing their times tables. They should know their own policies. That's fair game.
Most kindergarten kids don't know their times tables, so I guess that's being nitpicky, as some of the media have been accused of hounding Anthony Albanese. Whether that's fair or not, I don't know. Adam, I saw in the papers today that some Labor members, or MPs in particular, are saying, look, we think it's the after effects of COVID, that he's actually got some brain fog. Although I haven't seen Albanese's camp pushing that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great message to put out there. It doesn't really instill confidence. I reckon the big issue here is the person who created the policy that had 6 points to remember. You don't remember 6 things of anything. Keep it at 3, and if you have to, then put 5. But I reckon that I'm just really annoyed that there was a 6-point policy. I think that's crazy. And I also agree with Matthew. It's hard to... He just needs to embrace the fact that if he's not going to remember this stuff, just kind of flip it off or just have the points there to have a look at and say, yeah, I've got a lot to remember.
But Adam, don't you think Australians are pretty forgiving? I think if as you say, there's an admission, right? I'm not right across the 6 points per se, but what I can tell you is that our plan is to improve staffing, to make sure there's less wastage, that not so much money is spent on lawyers. The key things that are the tenets of Labor's NDIS policy.
Yeah.
If he'd pivoted and gone with some level of detail, but we were offered nothing.
Be honest.
That's true. But also, if the policy creator had boiled that down into 3 things, whatever those 3 things were, he wouldn't have had to get the wording right. He could have just in his head just gone bang, 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 just as you've said. But now they're getting hung up on the fact that they're not getting the exact wording right and how many different policies they've got and so on.
Matthew, the problem with him being honest, if we're going back to that initial stumble, which was a lot bigger than this one, when he didn't know the cash rate and didn't know the unemployment rate, he was honest then and just said, I'm sorry, I don't remember, and it didn't play very well for him.
Well, just go back a step. The other thing they could do, if you're going to have 6 points, make up an acronym. That's what we do in marketing all the time. You make up an acronym and you can actually then remember that. So that would have been a good thing for his team to get over. But being honest, I don't know. We spoke about this last week about, I think Adam brought up the pratfall effect. And I think it actually does play out. If you say, look, there is 6 points here, there's a lot of detail, I'll come back to you on that. Like, I think you can actually do it, but just being up front, people know there's a team behind him. But when he stumbled and when he fobbed off the journalist, and I have to say, I have some sympathy for the journalists here because day after day, they ask questions, and this is not just Albanese, this is all these politicians. They ask question after question, and they get 5 minutes of a non-answer. It actually gets rather frustrating for them, and for us.
It sure does.
And the problem becomes when there appears to be a common thread developing throughout the campaign of forgetfulness over certain policies when it comes to Labor specifically. I think there's an entitlement to go a little harder on those issues, which is what we've seen.
Although there seems to be there is a groundswell of feeling of people saying, oh God, stop it with the gotcha moments, and we're sick of you harassing them, and let us move on with our lives. So it's a balance, isn't it, Adam? Yeah.
If the mistakes are at a superficial level, which they seem to be, then it's okay. I think it's pretty forgiving. I think we're leaning into him. I think he's doing okay. I think the polls will be pretty good this week. But it is starting to wear thin, where he is starting to look... How he's responding to the mistakes he's making is making him look flustered. Yeah. And that just doesn't instill confidence, so it might be starting to chip away.
Just moving on to the campaign called the Dove Self-Esteem Project. It aims to warn young women about negative and toxic messages online and also on social media. Mothers sit with their daughters and read out excerpts from online beauty ads. Let's have a listen.
Hey guys. Baby Botox is amazing. You're never too young to start.
That is not me.
Matt, the video runs for 3 minutes. It's an important issue highlighting the negative impact these words can have. But is it all lost, do you think, in the length of the video?
Well, it's very difficult to get such a strong and powerful story across in a 30 or 60 second clip. So I'm not sure if Dove are going to have a cut down version of this. I'd like to see this play up on TikTok and some other mediums because that would actually help sort of amplify it somewhat. But it's a powerful message and it is difficult getting it cut down so small.
Adam, does Dove gain from this type of messaging?
Totally. This is built off a platform which is a white paper Dove created many years ago that showed that only 3% of women see themselves as beautiful. So from that stat, they've done a whole lot of different activations and ideas, if you like, that talk about real beauty and self-acceptance and so forth, because it's just moisturising cream at the end of the day. This is the latest thing in that. I think it's done a really good job by bringing in the mother-daughter relationship and making the mother feel somewhat responsible for the messages their daughter receives. I thought it was quite beautiful, but I think it's a good point. Hard to tell that story in 60 seconds, 15 seconds, and even 6 seconds these days.
Yeah, I felt a bit sorry for the mums. I mean, most of us mums feel responsible for everything anyway. Anything bad that happens, or a lot of parents.
Good point. So it's loading the guilt on, isn't it?
It's loading the guilt on, but surely, you know, if that's what it takes to highlight it and get cut through, it was, great issue. Thank you both so much, Adam and Matt. Great to see you.